Having awesome risers, sweeps, and drops gives your music a very dynamic feel. It helps dancers know where the next section's going to come in, as well as give it a unique sonic palette. In this video, we're going to show you how to morph an everyday run-of-the-mill sample into something that's completely unique, has tons of movement and sound and character to it. So in this video, I'm going to start off with an everyday reverse cymbal. Hear that all the time, and then we turn it into something totally unique, and I go through step by step how to do this. I use all sorts of different techniques, including different warp modes to be able to mangle and morph the sound, transposition to make things fall up and down using different effects. We're going to go over all that and more on this tutorial on build your own risers. Now, I like to use a lot of times a simple cymbal or something like that to start and reverse it. Great, it's the beginning of a good sweep. Another important thing is if I insert a new audio track, I'm going to rename it Resample. And then if I go to my IOs, my in-outs, change it to Resampling, what it's basically going to do is record, when I have it set to record, the sound of the master track. So anything, if I have multiple layers all playing, and I have resampled set to record, it's going to record all of those as if it was a recording of the master track. This is very useful for us to throw ideas quickly into this audio track, morph it, change it, and record a new version, and then morph that and continue to change it over time. I'm just going to double this to make it longer or more stretched out. And then if you press Control-Alt-F on PC, I think it's Command-Alt-F on Mac, you have the fades. Now, volume fades let you just create a very simple fade. So that's just the cymbal reversed. It's a good start, but let's start adding uniqueness to it. Well, a huge tool is the warp modes. The warp modes have a lot going on. You can do cool things with beats mode. You can use texture, complex, all these different things to give it a unique quality. And I'm going to show you that. So let's use texture. Now with texture, I have these grain size. And what that is basically I've made this sample twice as long, and the grain size is how it's filling in that extra data. And it's doing it by taking a certain size grain of the audio and just repeating it. So the bigger the grain, the more we get this warble noise, and the smaller it becomes more tonal in a way. But we can use this to our advantage. So if I'm starting small and getting bigger, we got that cool warble noise. So I'm just going to record to capture this. One thing you'll notice is I am using the resample because I cannot automate this. There's no way. So what I have to do is just record myself moving it, and then I have that new sample I can drag up. So let me go like that. And this is a great start to a new sound. Well, what I can also do is insert a new audio track. Let's go with a different crash sound. Sure, this one is totally different. Let's reverse it so we have that same. And I'm going to transpose this. Great. And I'm going to double its size just to give it a little more interest, and again, change the fade. Now, right now it's in Complex, so let's play with this. Why don't we try doing Complex Pro? Now, Complex Pro is really interesting with the transpose because it's trying to emulate a human voice. You can change basically what it's paying attention to when it's warping it. Well, I'm going to also automate my transposition. So I'm going to give it a falling down. Not something too crazy. Let's do around 12. Great. And then I'm just moving this format to give it a little bit more interest than just by itself. So let's record that. Great, now we have a very unique sound to start, and you'll notice that we're just basically using samples and warp mode so far, and it's already given it a cool quality. Now I can keep playing with these ideas. I can do something like grabbing this original China, and I can also come in here and transpose it up. So then I have like a sweep while I have a fall, and I start getting these very interesting qualities. And I'm going to change this. Now let's keep it in texture mode, but I'm going to make this incredibly obvious. Now, by going from a warbling down to a lower grain size, I'm making it more and more tonal and making it less having that shaking sound. So I'm going to turn this volume down a little bit, and I'm going to record this. Great, now I have this new sample I can throw on up there. You can see how the resampling is incredibly useful this way. And now I can start doing other things. Another thing I can do is come into my audio effects. I love using AutoPan. I can automate the movement of my AutoPan. So this is automating the amount. And if you hit Alt, hold Alt, and you see over by my mouse, I've got that little symbol, which means I can now make a curve. I love curves in Live 9. And then I can change things like my phase. I'm going to just change that, but I'm going to make it a much quicker curve. And I can even change my shape, all sorts of stuff. I'm going to do that to my shape, giving a little different movement. And then I'm going to automate my rate to make it much faster towards the end. Now let's listen to that. So now it's kind of opening up the AutoPan, giving it a very cool effect. I'm just going to lower the amount just a little and record. Great. Another effect I really like is adding a reverb to get a little tail at the end of things. I don't want it too wet. I don't want too long of a delay, just a little touch, so it doesn't seem so strong when it ends. Let's just skip ahead. To me, it'll sound a lot more natural in a mix if it has a nice little spray at the end. And we can just play with this a little more by, I don't need the AutoPan anymore, we already recorded that, by adding any effect really, and just automating some changes to it will really add a depth. But let's like add phaser. I'm going to change my frequency. It's going to move up. I'm going to move up my feedback a little throughout the playback. And then I definitely going to change my dry wet. I don't want it to come in towards the end. And again, doing that Alt to create a nice curve. I can even change my poles. Changing a few settings here, you can just play around with this. Great, now it's giving it some nice phasing and some movement. I'm going to record it just so we have it. And then you can see we went through a lot of different things. It's now a much more complicated, interesting riser. And now let's hear the original. Compared to what we got. Way more interesting, way more happening in that. So hopefully those are some really cool techniques for you to use in your own risers and creating and morphing and changing your sound. Now from here, you can just keep adding to it. What I would suggest is we've been using a very basic sample, but then try going in, finding really cool samples within sample libraries like, let's see, we got some sound effects. Let me see, I'm going to want some scrapes. Yeah, I can do something like that. I'm going to lower the volume quite a bit. Do something like here so it kind of raises. And just playing with reverse, just playing with reversing samples. Crashes, turn up that volume a little. I'm just going to add this other metallic one. I'm going to turn down that volume a little. Oh, let's insert a different audio to put that in. There we go. And you can see that I'm just giving it more character by adding different types of sounds to it and using different samples to stretch, use that texture mode and so on. So yeah, that's it. Those are all the cool techniques that I use in creating my different risers. If you want the convenience of just grabbing a whole bunch of really morphed, interesting, unique sounds from me as a sound designer, then go over to subaqueousmusic.com. I've got my riser sweeps and drops. You can start playing with those, or you can go ahead and take the time to build your own now that you know these techniques. So enjoy.